As a part of pre-formulation studies, we'll see sterility requirements of parenteral products and sterility testing. In this lecture, we'll see in detail the prerequisites of sterility testing of parenteral products. So this has been already discussed. Sterility is the most important parameter of parenteral manufacturing. This is because the formulations are directly injected into the bloodstream or put into the body below the skin layers or into the muscles. So it bypasses all the body defense layers, and this may cause contamination. Contaminated parenteral drug products may cause infection, sepsis, and further severe consequences to the patient health. So all parenteral formulations and few other formulations must be sterile. The process of sterilization is to effectively kill or remove microorganisms such as fungi, bacteria, viruses, and their spores from surfaces, whether from inanimate, non-living surfaces or animate, living surfaces like skin surface, or food, medication, or biological culture medium. This method is known as sterilization. Okay? So by default, all parenterals as well as otic, nasal, ophthalmic, so we will briefly revise methods of sterilization. This you have already studied in the subject microbiology. So methods of sterilization are broadly classified under two heads: physical methods of sterilization and chemical method of sterilization. The present slide shows physical methods of sterilization. So it is further subdivided as heat sterilization. It can be moist heat sterilization or dry heat sterilization. Filtration, irradiation. Again, irradiation can be non-ionizing radiations or ionizing radiations. And further, sound waves inducing pressure and sunlight can also cause killing of microorganisms and thus sterilization. But these three methods, uh, they generally kill vegetative form of microorganisms and the spores remain unaffected. So in pharmaceutical formulations, we generally use heat sterilization as far as possible. This is because the sterility assurance level is the highest with heat sterilization, and in that autoclaving shows the maximum sterility assurance level. Then comes dry heat sterilization, and then we have all the methods of filtration and irradiation. Okay. Next is we'll discuss in brief chemical sterilization. So chemical sterilization is further classified as gaseous sterilization and liquid sterilization. This classification is only because where we use gases for sterilization is known as gaseous, and where we use liquids is known as liquid sterilization. So we have examples of ethylene oxide, formaldehyde, nitrogen dioxide, ozone, as the gaseous sterilizing agent and hydrogen peroxide hypochlorites as the liquid sterilization agents. So generally we prefer physical methods of sterilization. This is because they generally do not put any traces of the material which is being used for sterilization purpose, whereas in chemical sterilization, the gases or liquids used may get incorporated into product or onto the primary packaging material, and then uh, these traces can be harmful to the they are considered as contaminants and can be harmful to the patient's health. So now we'll see if a new product is being developed or there is some changes in product ingredients or process of formulation of the product, how one should go for fixing a method of sterilization. I mean, which method should be used, that should be decided first in pre-formulation studies. And this graph shows, or this chart shows how the method of sterilization is being fixed for a particular product. So whenever possible, the most feasible method of sterilization is autoclaving. So we'll first determine that whether autoclaving is safe for the product for sterilization. So if it is yes, go for autoclaving at 121 degrees Celsius for 15 minutes. If it is no, then can this product be sterilized by autoclaving for more than 8 minutes to achieve sterility assurance level of less than or equal to 10 raised to minus 6 microbial count. If it is yes, then you can go for sterilization at higher temperature, higher than 120 degrees Celsius, maybe 130 degrees Celsius for 8 minutes or greater. So as temperature rises, the time for sterilization decreases. So if it is yes, then use that particular combination of temperature and time for autoclaving. If it is no, then you can go for another method, and you'll see whether this method can be filtered by membrane filtration and the microbial burden can be retained onto the membrane filtration. If yes, then rather than going for autoclaving, go for filtration and aseptic processing. If it is no, you cannot further filter and sterilize the formulations, then aseptic processing is adopted. So right from raw material, equipments which are to be used into the formulations, equipments used for quality control in process and final quality control, the packaging material, everything should be sterile, and the compounding, filling, packaging, everything should be done in sterile area, which is known as aseptic area. So this describes the flow chart for fixing a sterilization method for the aqueous formulations in pre-formulation studies. So this also determines whether the formulation technique will be terminal sterilization or aseptic formulation. So terminal sterilization, compounding and mixing and formulation will be done in controlled environment, but it may not be aseptic. Then after filling and last step will be the sterilization of the material into its primary packaging. So this kind of processing is known as terminal sterilization, whereas right from the step 1 to step N, which is the last step, everything is done in sterile area. This kind of processing is known as aseptic processing. Next is the chart to select sterilization methods for non-aqueous formulations. So here, first we'll see whether the formulation can be sterilized by dry heat at 160 degrees Celsius for 120 minutes. If it is possible, yes, go for dry heat sterilization at 160 degrees Celsius for 120 minutes. Because non-aqueous formulations cannot be sterilized by autoclaving. If you go for autoclaving, then after sterilization, the vapor will get condensed over the exterior surface of the formulation or packaging material, and it may get chance to ingress into the formulation, and the presence of water may destroy the purpose why the formulation is non-aqueous. So non-aqueous formulations cannot be autoclaved. So first priority will be to the what you can say dry heat sterilization. If it is possible at 120 degrees Celsius for 2 hours, go for it. If it is not possible, then again try the combinations of temperature and time to achieve sterilization assurance level of less than or equal to 10 raised to minus 6 microbial count by the dry heat method. If you find a proper combination, yes, go for it. If you cannot find it, then go for radiation as the method of sterilization. So here it should absorb minimum of 25 kilogray radiation dose, because that is considered as effective to kill microbes and spores. If the material is such that it doesn't absorb that what you can say radiation dose, then it may not be the effective method of sterilization. So if the material is sufficiently absorbing radiation and shows the sterility, then go for the radiation. If it is showing degradation at this radiation dose, then see whether can the product be sterilized using a valid lower dose. So there are number of testing methods which are defined in ISO 11137. So you have to go through all the methods to test whether the lower dose of radiation is feasible, and you have to validate it. And if you have sufficient documentation and proof that lower dose is sufficient to cause sterilization, then you can adopt that method of sterilization at lower doses. If it is not possible, then go for filtration. But generally, non-aqueous formulations are viscous in nature. So you have to check whether the filtration will be the method of sterilization. If yes, then filtration becomes the third choice for the sterilization of non-aqueous formulations. If no, then the only choice left is aseptic processing. So thus, non-aqueous formulation can be sterilized first by dry heat, if not possible, radiations, if not possible, filtration, if it is not possible. Aseptic processing is the last chance to have sterile products, or last option rather to manufacture sterile products. This is because whether it is the aqueous formulation or non-aqueous formulation, as you go down the decision tree, the sterility assurance level decreases. So this considers that heat sterilization for aqueous, moist heat sterilization, and for non-aqueous dry heat sterilizations are the best option to have assurance of the sterile products. Now next we'll see the sterility test. So once you have determined the method, or you are fixing in process of determination of the method, how will you select? So you will see the physicochemical characteristics of the ingredients which are incorporated, or the or the degradants which may be present after the sterilization methods. And you will also be checking whether that particular sterilization method effectively kills the microorganisms. So to have selection of sterilization method or quality control of the final sterile product, you need to check the sterility of the formulation. So this is what is sterility test. So sterility test is defined as microbiological test applied to sterile product to show that these products manufactured and processed are with respect to the guidelines by current GMP. So this current GMP also specifies the sterility requirement of the sterile products. Next point to be considered in sterility test is sterility test is destructive in nature. So whatever samples you are taking for sterilization, those will be destroyed in the test. So sampling should be appropriate because those samples will represent the entire batch which is not being actually tested. But we are assuming since the samples are sterile, the formulations are also, I mean, the batch is also sterile. So while starting with sterility test, the precautions against microbial contaminations which are to be observed are the test for sterility is carried out under the aseptic condition. The precaution taken to avoid contamination are such that they do not affect the microorganisms which are to be revealed in the test, and the working condition in which the tests are performed are monitored regularly by appropriate sampling of the working area and by carrying out appropriate controls. So all these precautions point at the thing that if the microbes are present into the formulation, these microorganisms do not get affected, because if they are killed by the method for sterilization or the sterility test, then you won't be able to find that yes, the microbes are present into the formulation, or other way round, these precautions are taken to prevent uh, the introduction or contamination of microorganisms into the samples while sterility testing. Otherwise, it will give you false positive results. So microbes are as such not there into the formulation but by sterility testing. During sterility testing, they are getting introduced into the samples and you are getting false positive results. So to prevent these two cases, these precautions must be observed during the sterility test. Okay, so culture media which are used for the sterility test are, these are generally two unless until specified in specific monograph of the medicament. So fluid thioglycolate medium, it is generally used for anaerobic bacteria, but in some cases aerobic bacteria can also grow upon it, whereas soybean casein digest medium is suitable for the fungi and aerobic bacteria. So all sterility tests will be done on both this medium to reveal anaerobic, aerobic and fungi contamination into the products. Okay. Next we have the media used should comply with the following test carried out before or in parallel with the test on the product to be examined. So first is the sterility of the culture medium itself. So incubate portion of the media for 14 days and there should be no growth of microorganisms. So this fixes that the medium which you are going to use further is sterile. So itself it doesn't contain any microorganisms. Next, you will see that whether this media supports the growth of microorganisms. So it is known as growth promotion test of aerobes, anaerobes and fungi. So here test each batch of ready prepared medium and each batch of medium prepared either from dehydrated medium or from ingredients. Inoculate portion of fluid thioglycolate medium with a small number, not more than 100 colony forming units of the following microorganisms using separate portion of medium for each species of microorganisms. So it is thioglycolate and these are anaerobes, So Clostridium, Pseudomonas, and Staphylococcus species are inoculated. Then inoculate portion of soybean casein digest medium, similarly not containing more than 100 colony forming units, separately for each Aspergillus, Bacillus, and Candida, and then incubate this inoculated medium for not more than 3 days in case of bacteria and not more than 5 days in case of fungi. And the media are suitable if there is a clear visible growth of microorganisms. So this justifies that the whatever medium is prepared supports the microbial growth. So this fixes that if the formulation contains any of this kind of microorganisms, then media will show or media will support the growth of microorganism upon it. Okay. Next, we'll see method for suitability of the test. So carry out a test as described below for sterility of the product to be examined using exactly the same method except for the following modifications. So membrane filtration and direct inoculation, these are the two methods by which the final product will be tested for sterility using the earlier two culture medium. So first is membrane filtration. So after transferring the content of the container or containers to be tested to the membrane, add inoculum of a small number of viable microorganisms to the final portion of sterile diluent used to rinse the filter. Okay. So you are contaminating filter now. Next is direct inoculation method. So after transferring the content of the container or container to be tested, add culture medium of small number of viable microorganisms to the medium. And in both the cases, use the same microorganisms as those described above in the growth promotion test. And then see the growth, incubate this either membrane filter or the inoculum for not more than 5 days and see that the growth of microbial organisms are clearly visible. So this fixes that the membrane which is being used or the inoculum which is used, I mean the culture which is used, is not hindering the growth of microorganisms. Okay. So if they do not show the clear visibility of the growth, then there can be the case whether medium or some of the ingredients of the formulation, they are hindering the growth of microorganisms, and then there is a need of modification into the method of sterility test for the product. Okay. So this method suitability is performed whenever the test for sterility has to be carried out for a new product, or when there is a modification in ingredient of the products, or when there is a modification in processing of the products, or whether there is a change in experimental condition of the sterility testing, then the suitability test must be done to fix that any modification in any of this criteria does not affect the growth of microorganisms which may present into the final product. So this method of suitability may be, I mean the test of suitability may be performed parallel to the test for sterility of the product which is to be examined. So these are the prerequisites of the sterility testing of the sterile products or parenteral products. In the next lecture, we'll see the actual sterility test.